Welcome to Hidden Tales. Have you ever felt a moment that set your heart ablaze, even though your mind screamed it shouldn't happen? Today, we're diving into a fleeting, electrifying, and sensual love story between Jack, a young plumber, and Emily, a lonely homeowner carrying a quiet ache. Will they dare to cross the forbidden line? Hit subscribe and ring the bell to find out. Let's step into the charming streets of Savannah, Georgia, where this tale begins. The summer sun blazes over Savannah's cobblestone streets, the air thick with humidity and the whisper of the nearby river. Jack Harper, 27, cruises through narrow alleys on his beat-up motorcycle, his toolbox rattling behind him. He's a freelance plumber, living by the strength of his calloused hands and his easy, genuine smile. With sun-kissed skin, tousled dark hair, and warm hazel eyes, Jack's the kind of guy who puts people at ease. He's not one for big dreams. Fix a pipe, pocket the cash, and sip an iced coffee by the Savannah River. That's enough for him. But today, a call from a new client will turn his world upside down. Old house on Abercorn Street. Kitchen faucets leaking, a woman's voice says over the phone, soft but tinged with weariness. Jack jots down the address, doesn't think much of it, and rides through the shimmering heat. The historic house comes into view. Pale yellow walls, weathered wooden shutters, and ivy climbing like it's holding on to memories. Jack parks his bike, wipes sweat from his brow, and knocks. The door swings open, and there stands Emily Carter, 39, though she could pass for early 30s. She's dressed in a flowing white sundress that clings lightly to her frame, her auburn hair loosely tied, a few strands brushing her neck. Her deep green eyes carry a hidden sadness, yet she radiates the elegance of a former fashion designer who once turned heads in Atlanta. "You the plumber?" she asks, her voice low, her gaze sweeping over Jack like she's sizing him up. He nods, hefting his toolbox. "Yes, ma'am, Jack Harper. Emily, right? Where's the faucet?" Emily gives a faint smile and steps aside. "Kitchen, follow me." The kitchen's cozy, smelling of aged wood and jasmine from a small vase on the counter. The faucet drips steadily, each drop like a ticking clock. Jack kneels, opens his toolbox, and starts inspecting the pipes. Emily sits at a wooden table a few feet away, holding a book, but her eyes flick toward him now and then. The ceiling fan hums lazily, the dripping faucet echoes, and the silence between them feels charged. Jack's used to working in strangers' homes, but something about Emily unsettles him. She's not like other clients, unhurried, unguarded, like a melody you can't quite place. "How long you been doing this?" Emily breaks the silence, her voice soft but curious. Jack glances up, wiping his hands on a rag. "About 10 years, since I was 18. Fixing things makes me happy. Nothing too fancy." Emily nods, her eyes lingering on his rough hands. "You don't seem like someone who'd just fix pipes forever," she says, a spark of intrigue in her tone. Jack chuckles awkwardly, trying not to notice how the sunlight through her dress traces the curve of her shoulder. "I don't plan that far ahead, ma'am. One day at a time." Emily smiles, her gaze hinting at something unspoken, and flips a page in her book. Jack keeps working, tightening a bolt, but his mind's not on the job. He feels her eyes on him, a subtle heat tracking his every move. When he stands to grab his flashlight, Emily rises and walks to the counter. "Need a light?" she asks, handing him a small lamp. Her fingers brush his for a split second, enough to make his pulse jump. "Thanks," he mutters, his voice rough, avoiding her gaze. Emily stays close, closer than necessary, her jasmine scent dizzying. "Do you always make your clients this nervous, Jack?" she teases, her voice low, laced with something more. He forces a laugh, rubbing his neck. "Nah, I'm just good with pipes." Emily returns to her seat, but her eyes don't leave him. The air feels thick, like an invisible thread pulling them closer. When Jack finishes, he stands wiping his brow. Emily hands him a glass of iced lemonade. "You did good," she says, her eyes glinting. "Hot out there. Drink." Jack takes the glass, their fingers brushing again, lingering this time. He sips, struggling to stay composed. "All done, ma'am. Faucet's fixed. Call me if it acts up." Emily tilts her head, her gaze locking onto his. "If I were younger, I might have asked you to stay for another glass," she says, her voice soft, more confession than jest. Jack freezes, his cheeks burning. "I ain't much for small talk," he stammers, but his eyes betray him, inches apart. Jack can feel her breath, see the rise and fall of her chest under the thin dress. He wants to break the tension, but words stick in his throat. Emily smiles, stepping closer, her eyes like embers. You don't need to talk, Jack. Some things don't need words. Her words hit like a spark, igniting something in him. He swallows hard, knowing he should leave, but his feet won't move. I gotta go, he says, voice shaky, grabbing his toolbox. Emily nods, her gaze unwavering. Thanks, Jack, she says softly. Door's always open if you change your mind. Jack steps outside, the sun blinding. He climbs onto his bike, but doesn't start it. He glances back at the house, seeing Emily at the window, her eyes following him. A silent invitation. His heart races with a forbidden thrill. He knows Emily belongs to a different world, a woman who once had it all, now carrying a quiet loneliness. He's just a plumber, with nothing to offer, but her eyes, her touch, her words. They've lit a fire he can't extinguish. Jack starts the engine and rides off, but the old house and the woman inside are etched into his mind. The morning sun spills over Savannah's moss-draped oaks, casting golden light on the narrow streets. Jack Harper wakes on the lumpy couch in his rented room near the river, his mind tangled with thoughts of Emily, her piercing eyes, her voice like a haunting song. Last night, he barely slept. Her words, "If I were younger, I might have asked you to stay for another glass," echo like a spell. Jack, 27, is used to a simple life, fixing pipes, grabbing coffee, moving on. But Emily, with her white sundress and cryptic gaze, has stirred a dangerous longing. He tells himself to let her go. She's a client, over a decade older, a former designer from a world he can't touch. But his heart doesn't listen. Jack checks his phone. No calls, but he knows he has to see her again. Check the faucet, he mutters, though he knows it's fine. It's an excuse. He pulls on a navy t-shirt and faded jeans, hops on his bike, and rides through the sunlit streets. At the old house, his heart pounds. He knocks, hesitating. Emily opens the door, wearing a pale yellow dress, her hair loose, strands framing her neck. She looks surprised, then smiles. Jack? Early riser, huh? Her voice is warm, like she'd been expecting him. Yeah, just checking the faucet. Sometimes they leak again, he says, his voice unsteady. Emily tilts her head, her eyes sparkling. Dedicated, come in. Jack steps inside, toolbox on his shoulder, her jasmine scent hitting him like a wave. The kitchen's the same. Lazy ceiling fan, no more dripping. He kneels by the sink, pretending to check, but his eyes keep drifting to Emily. She sits at the table, sipping tea, sunlight highlighting the curve of her shoulder through her dress. You check up on all your clients like this? She asks, her tone teasing but loaded. Jack wipes his brow, grinning sheepishly. Not really, your house is nice. Want to make sure it's good. Emily smiles, setting her tea down. The house, or the woman in it? The question lands like a dart. Jack looks up, meeting her sharp, gentle gaze. Both, he says before he can stop himself. Emily stands, grabs a towel, and walks over. You're sweating. Here. Jack takes it, their fingers brushing longer than before. He feels the softness of her skin, the warmth of her touch. Thanks, he mutters, unable to look away. Emily stays close, her eyes locked on his. Ever think about things you shouldn't, Jack? She asks, her voice a near whisper. He swallows, his pulse racing. Yeah, but I'm scared of the fallout. Emily smiles, her gaze fierce yet soft. Sometimes the fallout's worth it, if it makes you feel alive. The air crackles, an invisible thread pulling them closer. Jack stands, setting the towel down, and steps toward her. Just one step, but enough to feel her breath. She doesn't back away, her eyes inviting, lips parted. Emily, he whispers, what are we doing? She leans in, her hair brushing his shoulder, carrying her jasmine scent. I don't know, Jack, but I don't want to stop. Her breath quickens, their faces inches apart. He wants to kiss her, to cross that forbidden line, but her phone rings, shattering the moment. Emily steps back, answering. Hello? Yes, I'll have the dress ready this afternoon. Jack pretends to check the faucet, his heart pounding. When she hangs up, her eyes are still alight. Client at the shop, she explains. Jack nods, forcing calm. Faucet's good. I should go. But Emily touches his arm lightly. You free tonight? I finished a new embroidery at the shop. Want you to see it. Jack knows it's not just about embroidery. He should say no. Keep his distance, but her eyes pull him in. Sure, he says, voice rough. Emily smiles, her gaze bright. Jack leaves, good. Stepping into the sunlit alley, his mind a storm. He climbs onto his bike, glancing back at the house. Emily's at the window, watching him. He knows he's walking a dangerous path where right and wrong blur. He thinks of his simple life, the one he used to love. But Emily's made it complicated. She's not just a client. She's awakened something deep inside him. Jack rides off, but her image, her eyes, and the promise of tonight haunt him. He's not sure he's ready for what's coming. Night falls over Savannah, gas lanterns flickering along the historic district, their glow dancing on the river like fallen stars. Jack Harper stands outside Emily's small dress shop, his heart hammering under his black t-shirt. He spent the afternoon wrestling with himself after that charged moment in her kitchen. Her invitation, "I finished a new embroidery, want you to see it," is more than a request to view art. It's a forbidden pull, a call to desire. Jack, 27, with his rough hands and simple life, never imagined being drawn to someone like Emily, 39, poised, carrying the weight of a broken marriage. He knows he should walk away, but her eyes, her jasmine scent, and those fleeting touches have brought him here to her shop at 8 p.m. The shop is dimly lit, warm lights spilling over bolts of silk neatly stacked on shelves. The air smells of aged wood and jasmine from a small vase. Emily stands in the corner, wearing a white dress that hugs her frame, her hair loose, strands grazing her shoulders. She's embroidering a lotus design, the needle glinting under the light. When Jack steps in, she looks up, her eyes brightening with a smile both gentle and suggestive. "You made it," she says, setting the needle down. "Right on time." Jack rubs his hands on his jeans, grinning nervously. "Didn't want to keep you waiting." Emily tilts her head, her gaze sweeping over him. "Good. Come see this embroidery." Jack steps closer, standing beside her, closer than necessary. The lotus embroidery is stunning, its delicate stitches telling a story of grace and pain. "It's beautiful," Jack says, but his eyes are on her. The lantern light through her dress traces her silhouette. Emily catches him staring and smiles. "You're not looking at the embroidery, Jack." Her voice is teasing, challenging. He swallows, his face flushing. "Hard not to. You're prettier than the art." The words slip out, and her eyes spark like kindling catching fire. She steps closer, pointing to a detail on the embroidery, her shoulder brushing his. "This is my favorite part," she says softly. "It reminds me that even broken things can be beautiful." Jack feels her breath, hears the faint rhythm of her heart. "You're always beautiful," he murmurs, unable to hold back. Emily turns, her eyes locking onto his. "You shouldn't say that, Jack," she says, her voice trembling slightly, like she wants him to keep going. The air hums with tension, an invisible force drawing them closer. Jack's hand brushes her arm, feeling the silk and the warmth beneath. Emily doesn't pull away, her eyes inviting, lips parted. "Ever want to do something crazy, Jack?" she whispers. "Just to feel your heart race?" Jack's breath catches, his pulse pounding. "Yeah," he says, voice rough, "but I don't want to hurt you." Emily smiles, her gaze fierce yet tender. Sometimes pain's the price of feeling alive. She steps closer, her warmth and jasmine scent overwhelming. He leans in, their lips inches apart, breaths mingling. He wants to kiss her, to cross that line, but a knock at the door breaks the spell. "Emily, got my dress." It's a neighbor, Sarah, her voice loud through the glass. Emily steps back, smiling at Sarah like nothing happened. "It's in the corner, hun," she calls, calm as ever. Jack pretends to study the embroidery, his heart racing. When Sarah leaves, Emily's eyes are still alight. "Stay after I close up," she says softly. "I've got something special to show you." Jack knows it's not just art. He nods, voice rough. "All right." He's stepping into dangerous territory, but the pull is too strong. After the shop closes, the space grows quiet, lit only by the red glow of lanterns outside. Emily leads Jack to a corner, unveiling another embroidery, a vibrant burst of color, like a storm of emotions. "I made this after my divorce," she says quietly, "when I thought I'd lost everything." Jack looks at it, then at her. "You haven't lost anything," he says firmly. "You're still you, and you're incredible." Emily turns, her eyes soft but hungry. "You shouldn't make me feel this way, Jack," she whispers, stepping closer, apart, but the air heavy with sensual tension. Jack touches her hand, his fingers tracing her smooth skin, feeling her pulse. Emily grips his hand, pulling gently, saying more with her eyes than words. But then his phone buzzes, breaking the moment. It's his buddy Mike, a fellow plumber. "Yo, Jack, where you at? Saw you at Emily's shop. What's the deal, man?" Jack stiffens, glancing at Emily. She hears, her eyes flickering with worry, but she stays composed. Jack mutes the call, his voice low. "Mike saw us at the shop. People might talk." Emily nods, her gaze steady. "Let them. I don't care." Jack shakes his head, stepping back. "You might not, but I do. I don't want to mess up your life." He turns to leave, saying, "I'm sorry, Emily. We can't keep doing this." Emily stands by the embroidery, her eyes full of regret. She texts him, "I don't regret it, Jack, but I respect your choice." Jack reads it as he walks through the lantern-lit streets, his heart heavy. He knows he's walked away from what he wanted most, but the forbidden line was too dangerous to cross. Rain pours over Savannah, turning its cobblestone alleys into shimmering streams under the glow of gas lanterns. Jack Harper stands under the awning of a riverside cafe, his navy t-shirt soaked, clinging to his frame, water dripping from his hair. It's late, but sleep won't come. Emily's image, her fiery eyes, her white dress, her voice like a whispered secret, haunts him since that rainy night when they crossed the line with a searing kiss. Her text, "I don't regret it, Jack, but I respect your choice," cuts like a bittersweet blade. Jack, 27, a plumber with a simple life, never imagined being consumed by someone like Emily. 39, elegant, carrying the scars of a broken marriage. He walked away to avoid the forbidden, but his heart burns, urging him back. He pulls out his phone and texts her, "Left my wrench at your place. Can I come get it?" It's an excuse, and her reply is instant. "Doors unlocked. I'm waiting." Jack weaves through puddles, his heart racing as he reaches the old house. A red lantern flickers under the eaves, casting light through the rain. He knocks softly. Emily opens the door, her hair wet, her pale yellow dress soaked and clinging to her curves. She'd run out in the rain looking for him, her eyes lighting up at the sight of him. "Jack," she says, her voice trembling, "you're drenched." He steps inside, closing the door, the narrow hallway forcing them close. Her jasmine scent mixes with the smell of rain, dizzying him. "I'm sorry for leaving like that," he says, voice rough. "I didn't know what to do." Emily looks at him, her eyes soft yet intense. "Neither do I, Jack, but I can't stop thinking about you, even though it's wrong." They stand inches apart, the air heavy like a brewing storm. Jack feels her breath, sees her chest rise and fall under the wet dress. "Emily," he whispers, "we shouldn't." But his hand, as if with a mind of its own, touches her shoulder, tracing her wet skin, feeling the warmth beneath. Emily doesn't pull away. She takes his hand, pulling gently, her eyes locked on his. "I know," she says, voice a near whisper, "but do you dare live what you feel? Just once?" Her words shatter his restraint. He leans in, their lips meeting, soft at first, then fierce, like they're unleashing everything they've held back. The kiss ignites, passionate yet delicate, a dance of suppressed desires. Jack pulls her close, feeling the silk of her dress, her warmth seeping into him. Emily responds, her fingers threading through his hair, pulling him closer, her breath quickening. The rain drums outside, drowning out the world, as if only they exist. They stumble back against the hallway wall, lips locked, hearts racing. Jack feels the forbidden thrill consume him, but he pulls back, breathing hard, his eyes conflicted. "Emily," he says, voice raw, "I don't want to hurt you, or anyone." Emily's eyes glisten, but she smiles faintly. "You didn't hurt me, Jack. You made me feel alive, even if just for a moment." She touches his cheek, her fingers trembling. "But you're right. We can't keep going." Jack takes her hand, squeezing gently, wanting to hold on to this moment. "I don't regret it," he says firmly, "but I don't want to complicate things." Emily nods, her eyes soft but pained. "I understand. And I respect you for it." They stand there, hands clasped, reluctant to let go. It's Mike calling from a nearby bar. "Yo, Jack, where you at? Saw you at Emily's shop yesterday. Spill the tea, man." Jack stiffens, glancing at Emily. She hears, her eyes flickering with worry, but she stays calm. Jack answers, forcing calm. "Just fixed her pipes, grabbing my wrench now." Mike laughs, unsuspecting. "All right, beers later." Jack hangs up, guilt rising. He looks at Emily, voice low. "Mike took a picture of us at the shop. It's probably online." Emily sighs, sitting down, head in her hands. "Let them talk, Jack. I don't want you dragged into this mess. Jack kneels before her, his gaze steady. I'm not scared of gossip, but I don't want to hurt you or anyone you care about. Emily looks at him, her eyes shimmering, but she smiles. You're a good man, Jack. Don't let this change that. He stands, grabbing the wrench, a now meaningless excuse. He looks at her one last time. I won't forget you, he says, voice raw. Emily nods, silent, her eyes holding him as if to keep him there. Jack steps into the rain, not looking back. He knows Mike's photo is likely spreading, with snide comments about the plumber and the dressmaker. He knows Emily's clients, her neighbors, and this small town will judge. But in his heart, that kiss, though forbidden, was real. He sits on a bench by the river, rain soaking him, and checks his phone. Mike's post pops up, a blurry shot of Jack and Emily at the shop, captioned, Jack fixing pipes or hearts? Jack deletes the notification, breathing deeply. He knows he has to let this go, but the fire Emily lit in him still smolders, impossible to extinguish. Morning sunlight filters through Savannah's ancient oaks, gilding the cobblestone streets. Along the river, faded red lanterns sway in the breeze, like quiet memories. Jack Harper sits in a small tea shop near Forsyth Park, cradling a steaming cup, the faint scent of chamomile rising. 3 weeks have passed since that rainy night when he and Emily crossed the forbidden line with a kiss that burned bright but faded fast. Today, Jack's preparing to leave Savannah for a new job in Charleston, hoping for a fresh start. But before he goes, he needs to see Emily one last time, not to rekindle what's gone, but to say goodbye, to close a chapter that can't have a happy ending. The tea shop, with its worn wooden tables and chamomile aroma, is where they agreed to meet. Jack arrives early, sitting by the window, watching the river glisten. He thinks of that kiss, Emily's warmth, her fingers in his hair, her eyes full of longing and regret. Mike's photo of them at the shop spread online with comments like, plumber and the dressmaker, Savannah's latest gossip. Jack faced smirks from friends. Emily dealt with judgment from clients and neighbors, but she never blamed him. Her last text, I don't regret it, Jack, but I respect your choice, sits in his phone, a bittersweet scar. The door chimes. Emily walks in, wearing a jade green dress, her hair tied loosely, her eyes still deep but softer now. She smiles when she sees Jack, a gentle smile without the old spark of challenge. You're early, she says, sitting across from him, hands resting lightly on the table. Jack nods, keeping his voice steady. Didn't want to keep you waiting. Emily orders chamomile tea, her eyes tracing him, like she's memorizing his face. You're leaving Savannah? She asks softly. Jack nods. Yeah, heading to Charleston tomorrow. New job, better pay. Emily nods, her eyes tinged with sadness. Good. Savannah's probably too small for you. They sit in the quiet shop, their gazes meeting, heavy with unspoken words. Jack breaks the silence. Emily, I want to thank you. You made me feel alive, even if just for a moment. Emily smiles, her fingers brushing the rim of her cup. No need to thank me, Jack. You did the same for me. I'd forgotten who I was until you showed up. Her words cut, sweet and painful. Jack sees her eyes glisten, but she stays composed. I'm sorry about the gossip, he says, voice rough. I didn't mean to hurt you. Emily shakes her head, touching his hand lightly, her fingers cool yet warm. Don't apologize. I don't regret it, Jack. That moment was worth it. They sit in silence, hands touching, wanting to hold on to this moment. Jack remembers that rainy night, their lips locked, her heartbeat under the wet dress. He recalls the gossip, the guilt, and leaving her house. Ever wonder what it'd be like if things were different? He asks quietly. Emily smiles, her gaze distant. Every day, but if it was different, it wouldn't be so special. Sometimes it's beautiful because it can't last. Jack nods, his heart heavy yet lighter, to retrieve a small silk square from her bag, embroidered with a lotus. For you, she says, handing it to him. A goodbye gift. Jack unfolds it, marveling at the intricate stitches, like a whisper of her soul. You made this? He asks, voice trembling. Emily nods. When I was thinking of you. Jack grips the silk at a loss for words. He wants to hug her, to say he'll never forget her, but instead he stands, stepping closer. Emily, he says, voice raw, thank you. For everything. They embrace, a gentle hug, no kisses, no promises, just an honest, fleeting moment of farewell. Jack leaves the shop, stepping into the riverside street, the silk square in his hand. He glances back through the window, seeing Emily sitting there, her eyes following him, a sad smile on her lips. He knows he won't see her again, not because he doesn't want to, but because they both know their story is over. Jack walks on, sunlight filtering through the lanterns, a strange peace settling over him. Emily changed him, made him face his true feelings, even if just for a moment. Did Jack and Emily's story stir your heart? A forbidden love, beautiful but fleeting, leaving lessons of courage and truth. Have you ever had a moment like theirs? Share your story in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to Hidden Tales for more heartfelt love stories. Hit like, ring the bell, and join us in celebrating love's fleeting flames. Hidden Tales, where every moment of love deserves to be told.